everyone, it's Jules from Tarot Adventures with Jules. I am going to be meeting up today with Mariana from Queer Lenormand and Queer Divine to talk about their brand new Starbrights Tarot, which is currently funding on Kickstarter. It's a really incredible deck, bright and colorful, modern aesthetic, and it combines the RWS tarot system with constellations and astrology. So I'm just going to send Ken hop on. I'm so excited to have this chat. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, so one of the things that Mariana said about this deck in the Kickstarter, which I thought was so amazing, is that the constellations that are referenced in this deck represent great stories of heroes, goddesses, and creatures, and much more, filled with adventure, romance, mystery, and tragedy. And as someone who is really into mythology, I find that so exciting. So let me just see here. Send that invite again. Okay, there we go. I think we're all set. Oh, so exciting. And for those of you that don't know, Mariana also created the Queer Lenormand, which is a fabulous deck, really fantastic. Okay, let's see. We're having some tech issues here. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, here we go. Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited about your brand new deck. It's amazing. I think you may have referenced it when we chatted last about the Queer Lenormand, that you had a tarot in the works, and I'm so excited. I just love the aesthetic of the deck. It's fantastic. It's so bright and cheerful and vibrant, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. This is so amazing. Yeah, and it just went live on Kickstarter. Was it a couple days ago?
Yes, a couple of years ago. It's 31 of August in the blue moon.
Yeah, yes, of course. That's such good timing. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. So essentially, the Starbright Tarot is RWS system tarot mixed with constellations and astrology. So please tell me how this deck came to be. Like, where did the inspiration come from to put it together?
So my mother, as I told you before in the previous chat we had, my mother, she's an astrologer, and so I start to have this interest about astrology and the planets. And once she started talking with me about the fixed stars, and I start looking for the constellations and the mythology behind the constellations, and I'm always like have this interest in the constellations and the mythology, because I really like Greek mythology. I'm a big fan of the Greek mythology.
Me too. Me too. That's awesome. I've studied so many different forms of mythology with my kids. We looked at Norse mythology and Greek mythology and Roman and Egyptian, and we've gone to look at constellations that are associated, and my daughter's cat's name is Cassiopeia, and it was really cool to like look into the constellation behind that. And yeah, so I was so excited when I saw this, because astrology gets a lot of play within the community, and there's a couple of constellation decks, but there isn't so much of a focus on that. So I love that this tarot deck in particular kind of blends that in. That's so amazing. So yeah, so how did you figure out like what kind of structure you wanted, what kind of color scheme you wanted, like how you were going to put it all together?
Yeah, first of all, I was thinking like I'm looking for some decks of constellation. I bought some decks and oracle cards of the constellations and see what have in the market. And I start to think about to have a kind of a gap of all the cards associated to the tarot. And it's not an easy task as well, because it's not just a Greek mythology. So I decide if I go for the Greek mythology or if I go for other mythology as well. And at the same time, I decide, so I will try to match the constellation stories, and it started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was
Oh my
not
God.
easy task. I
No,
started studying
no.
the constellations with my partner.
Wow.
So my
Yes.
partner is make a part of this project because
Oh,
it's a big project.
yes.
You know, it seems so simple when you see like
Yeah.
the cards
Yeah.
and the deck, but it's not.
There's so much
So
that goes
yeah.
into planning it and writing and figuring out what the correspondences are. Yeah, it's a huge amount
Yeah,
of
and
work.
in the middle of the way, you think, oh, it's I can do it. This I can find. I can match all the cards,
Yeah.
and I don't know, but it's something helping me to do it. It's
Yeah.
not just when you want to do something in your life that you really want to do, and you
Yes.
are passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but things is coming to be a little bit more easier.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing the serendipity of having just the right person come and help you when you need it most, or you'll stumble upon a certain piece of information that's instrumental, or there's like a correspondence that works. It's amazing when you get in that creative groove, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's incredible. Oh, amazing. Yeah, so I think that you had mentioned in the Kickstarter write-up that there was 88 constellations that are corresponding with the 78
Yes.
tarot cards, so there's a
Yeah.
few that are doubled up, yeah?
Yeah. Some cards have more than one constellation. For example,
Okay,
when you're talking about, let me tell you, for
yeah.
Argonauts, it's the navy or the Argonautas. For example, it's like a three constellations.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's three parts of the ship.
Oh,
It's not just
cool.
one constellation. It's three
Yeah.
constellations.
Oh, wow.
Some parts is associated to more than one constellation.
Oh, very
And for
cool.
example, I put all the
Yeah.
tools that people use it to exploring or navigate it through the stars. I put it
Mhm.
together as well.
Oh,
So they have
that's
the same
awesome.
kind of meaning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh, that's
see if
great.
I find something during our
Yeah,
conversation so I
yeah.
can show
No,
you
I'm putting you on the
better
spot here.
here.
Yeah, that's amazing.
For
And I
example,
also, oh,
this one you
oh,
can see here.
awesome.
Uh,
Yeah.
you can
Oh,
see
I
here
love
these tools.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and then I have the name of the tools and
Mm-hmm.
on the bottle, and one like planning at the
Yeah.
tools as you're planning to do the journal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, I love
For
that so much.
the two of the ones, because
Yeah.
the two of the ones in the Hideaway Smith is that guy looking for the horizon and
Yeah.
planning the journey, making
Yes.
plans for the future.
Yes.
It's like the same.
Absolutely.
The tools helping
Oh, I
people
love
to
that.
plan the journey.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So
That is
here's like
so
a
cool.
five constellations in one
Yeah.
card, for example.
Oh, that is so cool. I love that there's so much to the cards too, because you have the name of the card and then you have the correspondences in terms of the meaning at the bottom. And then there's also the astrological correspondence in the corners, right? So there's like the element symbol and then the zodiac symbol as well. I think that's for the major arcana.
Yeah, you
But
have
I love
here
that you've
the
included so much.
Mars, for example,
Yeah.
Mars, the planet
Yep.
Mars, and the Aries,
Aries.
zodiac
Yeah.
sign.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's action.
Yeah.
It's the
Absolutely.
initiative, the
Yeah.
beginning of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
this
that captures the
energy.
meaning so well. Yes, I love that. Oh, that's awesome. And I think I read that you had color coded the different elements as well within the deck, right? So fire has red elements, water has blue, earth has green, and then the air has purple, which is so great as someone new to tarot because then you've got that instant visual reference that allows you to see what the element associations for each of the suits are. That's really, really cool. Yeah, so could we maybe take a look at one from each of the
Yeah,
elements to see what
sure.
the colors look
For
like? That'd be
example,
amazing.
here is the
Oh,
Pentacles.
beautiful. Oh, I
Yeah,
love that so
the
much.
Eight of Pentacles, the
Yeah,
Centauros.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the Mastery. Yeah,
Yep.
We have the Temperance. It's the Northern Centaurus, but it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Sagittarius is the
Beautiful.
element of fire.
Yes. I love how you have the night sky in the top and then the element color is underneath. So there's like a through line for all of the cards in that it's echoing the night sky, but then you get those visual references underneath, which is really awesome.
Yeah,
it's a nice bit of reference.
I inspired in the Hideaway-Smith
Yeah.
and some points.
Yeah.
It's not exactly, but I have the inspiration about.
Yeah.
For example, you can see the
Oh,
inspiration very well in this card. Yeah.
beautiful.
And
Oh, that's gorgeous.
The purple. Yeah,
Yes, that's gorgeous.
card.
Oh,
and
that's so
for example,
beautiful.
here's the scorpion.
Oh, the
The
colors. I
water.
love the colors that you've used. They're so beautiful. Everything's so vibrant and rich and just like dynamic, and it's so easy to quick reference what they're associated with because those vibrant colors are so beautifully. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I want to bring this kind of the essence of the queer Lenormand deck as well. And for example,
this is so beautifully. Rainbow.
I bring these vibrant colors, and I want to bring something for people learning. So people don't know nothing about the tarot can start reading as well. I'm always worried about people using the tool, using the tarot. Yes. Because it's not, it's pretty, but it's useful. So, but I'm always worried because I'm trying to put it as much as I know, but at the same time in a way that for different levels.
Yeah. Well, it's nice because you can dive as deep as you want, right? Like you can just look at the basic card name and the associated meaning and the colors if that's all you want to do, or one of those elements. But if you want to dive a little bit deeper into the astrological reference or planetary reference, or take it one step further, because I started off with tarot and then I took a deep dive into astrology, and I find that those two practices enrich each other so much. There's so much to both of them, and if I tried to take them both on at once, I would have just been overwhelmed, right? But I love that your deck incorporates both of those things, so it allows a new student to tarot or astrology to unpack that kind of on their own pace. And yet, for someone who's more experienced coming to it, you've got those quick references as well, which is so lovely. Oh, that's amazing. Really, really cool. Oh, that's really awesome. So how did the design elements come together for the deck? Like what, are you a digital artist, or do you, what's your medium for creating the art for the decks?
First of all, I was thinking something similar to my style. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to create something like the same style of the queer Lenormand, bring some kind of the essence, because I really like working in the Illustrator. That's my favorite software.
Yes, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Some people think it's take a lot of time, and I enjoy. I always enjoy working the Illustrator. So. Yeah, that's why the kind of inspiration, the Hideaway-Smith is other constellations books, for example, books for children. Because I have a simple visual communication, and as a designer graphic, I think it's important to have a simple visual communication. At the same time, what is simple is not so simple.
No, not at all. It's amazing. Like anything that looks simple is usually so much more complicated. There's so many elements that go into it, right? My eldest is a visual artist, and I'm always so in awe of what she creates and how many layers there are to it. She'll remove a layer and it focuses on one thing, and then she adds a layer back and it adds a whole other kind of context or color to the illustration. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, I love your rider card from the Lenormand, and I feel like the decks would work so beautifully together too. Like, they correspond, the color palettes that you've used and illustrations. I mean, they'd be beautiful to work with together as well. Like, I love your style. It's so lovely and vibrant and celebratory. I feel like that's like, when I think of your decks, I think of it as this like joyful explosion of beautiful color.
Yeah, look at
which is so lovely. Oh my gosh! Yes! Oh, I love that. Yes! Oh my gosh! They totally. Ah, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful correspondence.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
find something that you identify it's me.
yes, absolutely. And then it brings
Illustrate
that
this
kind of
deck.
energy there. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very cool.
Another thing, I totally correspondence
Yeah.
this deck with
Hmm.
the mythology, not about the gender as well.
Yeah.
If it's the gender is the same,
Yeah.
it's just because the mythology correspondence is exactly the
Yeah.
correspondence of the tarot. Because, for
Yeah.
example, for the high priest or high priestess, I use the links, and
Yeah.
the lynx is an animal.
Yeah.
It's like an animal that's is a guardian of the secrets and the mysteries. These don't
Yeah.
have any correspondence of the constellation mythology, constellation properly associated to the lynx. So I use
Yeah.
some kind of shamanism symbolism
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
correspond to the tarot deck.
Yeah.
So you have this. It's not exactly a queer, but at the same time, it's not like a traditional
Yeah.
cards as well.
Yeah.
Because I was more worried about match the cards.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
much about the gender, what it
Yeah.
is or not.
Yeah.
If an
Yeah.
animal, if
Exactly.
an object.
Yeah. Absolutely. Whatever corresponds, and it takes that kind of feminine and masculine binary out of the equation, which is good because I feel like it makes it more accessible to more people if you have a more neutral palette like that, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I love so much about your Lenormand deck too, is there's a neutrality. Like there's a person, multiple person cards, and there's drag queens, and it's a more expansive perspective, right? Which I really appreciate. That's amazing. Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, for example, here I bring it Andromeda, and I don't
Oh,
Andromeda. I made, if you look at the hair, yeah,
yeah,
because it's from Egypt, yeah.
yeah,
It's like it's not like showing the constellation. She's very white. I don't believe that as well.
yeah, yeah,
It's like a kind of a
absolutely.
transgression that I have.
Yeah,
It's my
yeah, that's amazing.
my
It's your interpretation, right? And you can take it outside of that traditional representation if you want to, right? Like yeah,
yeah.
that's the wonderful
Why
thing about
not?
art. You get to make it your own, right? Like, why not? Exactly. I think we get so stuck in the idea of things have to be a certain way because they were told in a certain way, and it's stuck in this one interpretation. But what happens if we unpack that and just have it be way more expansive and inclusive? And yeah, I just love that approach. I think it's wonderful. And it includes so many more people, right? Because I say this a lot, but I mean, everyone should be able to see themselves represented in the cards in some capacity, right? And so when you bring a gender neutrality to it, then anyone could pick up the card and feel a relationship with it, right? Which I think is so magical. That's really amazing. Oh, I love it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the different specs on the deck as well. There's 78 cards total, I think you'd mentioned. They're standard tarot size, and it's a 310 GSM black core cardstock, which is such a nice weight, with a smooth finish. And it's being printed in a tuck box, but I think that there's a, a stretch goal for a hard two-part box, right, for the
Yeah,
Kickstarter,
yeah,
which is awesome. Yeah. Matte laminate finish, which is so lovely. And it's accompanied by a PDF guidebook. I'd love to find out, and I think that there's a print copy as a stretch goal as well, which is so awesome. So what was your process of putting together the guidebook? What was that like?
yeah. First of all, I want to bring the product to life. That's my goal, my main goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why I put the PDF
Yeah,
guidebook because
yeah,
it's more easy
absolutely.
to produce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah, print anything is going to be more time consuming and costly and everything else. So
yeah,
it's nice to have the digital reference. Yeah.
and this guidebook is not gonna be like it's small. because I
Mm-hmm.
have the meaning of the cards, I have
Yeah.
a reversal, upright, and I
Yeah.
have the mythology, the
Mm-hmm.
keywords associated, the planetary, and I want to put it like the spread of astrology and other
Mm-hmm.
spreads.
Oh,
Yeah, talking
amazing.
why
That's awesome.
I want to this deck and blah blah blah. So it's not a small guidebook.
No, it
I'm
sounds like
still
it's quite
working a
intense.
guidebook. I'm in the middle of the
Mhm.
way,
Yeah.
and that's why my campaign during like 2 months
Yeah.
because it's time enough to finish
Yeah.
the guidebook. The
Absolutely.
other things are done,
Yeah.
but the guidebook is in a it's more than like can I say 60%. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a lot to have done because I
Yeah.
know it tends to range with Kickstarters. Like some creators will come after everything's already prepped, but so much of the time I think is a work in progress, right? It's posted to Kickstarter, and then there's a certain amount of time to finish all of the different elements associated, and often that's the guidebook as well. The 60%, that's a good chunk of the way through. That's awesome. Um, So, were there any cards that you found particularly challenging in putting together this deck? Were there any that were, yeah, a little more difficult?
Challenging. I don't remember have a properly challenge because I always start for the constellation, and I
Yeah,
because I plan everything about the
yeah,
colors and which color I'm gonna
yeah,
use it for each card and the symbols. I always start from the constellation,
yeah.
and the more challenge sometimes it's think about what I'm gonna put in the bottom sometimes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because the bottom is like what I can put it. If I'm gonna put it something from the Hideaway Smith or not,
yeah,
or if I'm gonna create another thing. Like for example, here it's the walk away. You have the same kind of illustration of the Hideaway Smith.
yeah.
And for example, I have another one. If you look at the Phoenix card, the Judgment,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
you have the
that's
same
beautiful.
elements as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
gorgeous. I love
that's I
it. Yeah.
think it's more challenge, but I have one here. That's I found it here instead because it's a Indian constellation. I
Mm-hmm.
put the Indian community that always celebrate things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very connected. Have a lot of rituals and celebrate things and eating together. So I did this on the bottle like different, but it's
Okay.
very connected to the Four of Wands.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any favorite cards that you especially enjoyed working on?
I have one that two that I'm very really proud. One of this is the High Priestess. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I don't know. I just think it's pretty.
Yeah,
It's simple.
absolutely.
The other
Yeah.
one is the Queen of Pentacles, because
Oh,
this
that's gorgeous.
constellation here is just a triangle.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's meaning as well.
yeah.
The city of Ceres.
Hmm.
So I draw Ceres here, the
Okay.
goddess
Yeah,
of a nutrition,
yeah.
prosperity.
Oh,
So it's one of my favorites because
it's
for me it's
beautiful.
like it represented the earth, like
Yeah,
Gaia,
yeah,
and I have this side of witchcraft that I something that I like as well.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, amazing. So you mentioned that there's a few spreads that you're including in the guidebook. They're specific to this deck.
Sorry.
You'd mentioned that there was a few spreads that you were including in the guidebook. Are
Yeah.
they exclusive to this deck, like it's associated with the constellations and everything?
Yeah, I think about the astrological. I'm going to see. I'm not sure, or maybe I'm gonna create one.
Nice. That's
Because I
awesome.
like to
I love
create spreads.
yeah. Creating spreads is a lot of fun, especially when it's associated with something unique to that particular deck. It's really fun to be able to explore that for sure. That's awesome. And there's also a really beautiful reading cloth that you have created for this the Kickstarter campaign as well. I think you mentioned it's 55 by 55 centimeters, and it's all like it's a night sky pattern, right? With like all the constellations throughout. That's beautiful. What was the process of creating that like?
Yeah, I just think about it's the same of you can see here, the back of the cards. Yeah, I
Beautiful.
put
Yeah.
some elements of the cards, is the moons, the sun, and the infinite. And the infinite, I put it times because it's 88
Oh yeah.
constellations.
Yes. Oh, that's really cool. I love that detail. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love that correspondence with
And
the back of the card and the cloth.
the cloth have the same. I have the cloth, but I'm in Portugal and I didn't bring the cloth.
Ah,
So
yeah, of course. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. No, I mean it's yeah, when you're traveling, it's hard to bring all the elements.
yeah, but
It's amazing to see the
it's
back.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a satin, luxury clothing. It's very
oh,
shiny,
beautiful.
pretty, really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have
Oh,
the
that's lovely.
88 constellations because it's
Mhm.
too much in the
Yeah,
cloth, but it's
yeah.
really pretty. Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, it'd be fun to create the different elements that correspond with the deck as well, like once all the artwork is done, and then you get to play with a few other things. Because you also have a tarot bag, and oh, I thought this was so cool. You can choose the zodiac symbol that you want and the corresponding charm for the tarot bag. That is so awesome. I
Yeah.
love that idea. So would you suggest going with your sun sign or your moon or rising or whatever you love best out of the three? Like what would you choose for yourself for that?
For me, my
Mm,
zodiac sign,
yeah,
Pisces.
yeah, that's awesome. That's such a great to have that option to be able to choose for yourself what you want and
Yeah.
have the different options available. I think that
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna send a survey in the end of the campaign
Mhm.
so people can put it the zodiac sign they want. Yeah, for the
Oh, that's
bag
really
and
cool.
the pin. I have a pin as well, glow in the dark.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah. That was
special
on here
gift
too.
is
Yeah.
this bag. It's something that I do. I craft it by hand. It's
Oh,
nice.
that's
I put
amazing.
it the charm. So I think
Yeah,
because I like it crafted. I know it take a long time for people,
yeah,
but I believe that it's nice when you put your energy with your hand in
yeah,
something. Yeah,
absolutely.
I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And how special to have something handcrafted like that too that you've put together. Like that's really amazing. I love that so much. Yeah, I was going to ask you actually about the custom zodiac badges. So those are pins that you've created that glow in the dark, and you have the option to do different astrological signs, right? So if someone wanted to do like their sun, moon, and rising, would they be able to add a couple of different pins so you could do all three, or is it like the option to have one, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can order the zodiac sign you want. If you
Oh,
want
okay.
to add it as a add on one
Yeah,
more and have a three
yeah,
or two
yeah,
of
yeah,
them and put in a bag or in the cloth
yeah,
in the cloth. Yeah.
yeah. That's really cool. I have a jean jacket that I put all my tarot pins on. It's all covered now. I've got all kinds of stuff on there, and it's such a great way to make use of all the beautiful pins that I found over the last few years, because there's so many amazing pins associated with Kickstarters, right? And they're so beautiful. Yeah, that's really cool. I used to just focus on my sun sign, right? Like, oh, Gemini sun, but now I've looked more into my birth chart, and I relate so much to my Scorpio moon and Libra rising, and so now I feel like if I do just one, I'm leaving out the other two, right? So I love that like trio of like the big three, right? Like that's really cool. You also have some Starbright journals associated with the
Yeah.
Kickstarter too. I'd love to hear more
Yeah.
about those.
Yeah. I'm developing the journal as
Yeah.
well. but the journal, I want to put I have this space for put the planets, all the things that associate with the cards, not
Mm-hmm.
just for the description,
Mm-hmm.
but a field that we can put the planet, the zodiac sign, so
Yeah.
we can study more deeply the cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
Oh, that's
see how
beautiful.
much is rich in terms of
Yeah.
symbolism and illustrations you have
Yeah.
in front of you. Because sometimes it's like simple, as I told you, but it's
Yeah.
not. So
No.
you can for example, if you is a printable PDF
Mm-hmm.
journal. So for
Oh.
example, you can have like a daily tarot, yeah, and for example, compare which planet is coming up more for
Mm-hmm.
you, and I want to put some sheet for you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can see what's the energy in
Yeah.
that month. For example, I suggested this in the journal that
Yeah.
you use the daily tarot, and in the end
Yeah.
of the month you can compare like the planets it's
Yeah.
coming out more for you,
Yeah.
which zodiac sign or what kind of element. So you have the
Yeah.
energy of that month to compare for your study.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that so much because I keep track of moon cycles, and it's fascinating to see the difference between like a full moon in Pisces as opposed to a full moon in Virgo, let's say. Like it has such a different feel to it, right? And new moons as well. But I hadn't thought to look at planetary references in tarot and frequency with how things come up. Like it's really fascinating to see patterns in that respect as well. That's so cool. And you have also a Starbright sticker sheet and also postcards. So what designs or prints are you doing? Like, are the postcards going to be reproductions of the tarot cards, or is that something separate, or like what's
Yeah,
your approach to that?
it's the same with the tarot cards, but it's the
Nice.
different size. They have two. They
Yeah.
are horizontal and the other
Mm-hmm.
landscape. So I
Yeah.
have a
Oh,
different,
beautiful.
yeah, I have it's
Yeah.
four. It's
Okay.
four postcards. Is the
Yeah.
High Priestess, one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorites. I
Yeah.
have, this is the Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So and I have two more that I don't remember now.
Oh, that's okay. It'll be a fun surprise. That's amazing. Yeah, you can't see the wall in front of me is all made up of postcards or stickers or prints or whatever, and it's lovely to have all of those visual references in front of me while I'm practicing. Like there's so much beautiful imagery in this community, and it's so lovely to have that as a reference point. So I love that you're offering both stickers and postcards. It's such a lovely add-on.
Yeah,
And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
the postcards have uh, it's like a phrase about the constellation and the tarot card
Oh,
meaning in,
yeah,
behind.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
So
cool.
you
Oh, I
can
love that.
understand like in a sentence a little bit about the connection of the constellation and the
Yeah,
tarot card in the postcard.
very cool. I love that. That's amazing. And you also have the option to add on a queer Lenormand deck with the order, and then you have a beautiful Grand Tableau reading cloth that you just released as well. I think that's available on your website as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because it's like everything, right? It's all 36 cards, and there's like association with the houses, and you've got quite a bit of information on the cloth itself as well. I'd love to hear more about that as a project and how it came together and what you've included as a visual and yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I put it for 2 months during the
Mhm.
Pride month.
Oh,
And
lovely.
I put it for everyone download free the the tableau,
Mhm.
the guidebook that
Yeah.
coming with the cloth.
Oh,
Now,
beautiful.
now, just people can buy the cloth, can have this guide, but I put for
Yeah,
free for 2 months for the Pride month.
yeah,
I'm trying to give some clues um, for people understand a little better about the Lenormand since the beginning to a professional level. I'm not sure because I need more feedback about if what people think about this guidebook, if it's helpful, if it's not helpful, because inside of this guidebook I have some tips there, how you're reading like 3 cards, 5 cards before you go for the grand tableau. And this cloth have some questions to make it easy the reading.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. I'm relatively new to Lenormand as opposed to tarot. Tarot I've been practicing for a really long time, but Lenormand has just been the last year or two. And so I'm referencing books a lot when I'm pulling cards just because I'm getting more familiar with the cards and more familiar with the meanings, especially cards in combination, right? So I love that you have that as a building block to help build your practice for someone that's more new to it. That's amazing. I love that so much.
And another thing is because I never saw a cloth or for tableau that was queer. It's always have the man and the woman cards. So I did it different again.
Yes, I love that so much. I just received a review copy of Logan from Larkin Legend sent me their Lilac Lenormand, which is launching, I think, September 18th. And I love it because their person cards are players. So they show the Nintendo game cartridges, and it's player 1, player 2, and then there's player 3 and player 4. So just removing gender completely. And I think it's so fabulous because it's completely neutral, right? And I showed my son, and he was so excited because we play Mario Brothers and like Link and all of this together all the time. And he's been doing Mario Maker and like creating different gamescapes and stuff. So he was so excited to see the player cards instead of the person. So I appreciate that there's more and more neutrality around instead of the traditional lady and gentleman or man and woman. There's person cards, right? Because Logan's other deck, the Black Salt and Pink Sugar, it's also person cards instead of the traditionally gendered cards. But I love that your Grand Tableau cloth has that neutrality as well. Like, that's amazing because, again, anyone coming to the practice can feel seen and feel represented, right? Which is amazing.
Yeah, because in the traditional tableau, if, for example, you have the drawings of the man looking for this direction and the woman looking for another direction. And if they look at each other, they are together. And if they look for different directions, they and I feel like what? And I feel like everybody in the queer Lenormand, it's like have any directions. Because if you think about the directions, you're thinking who looking for the future and who looking for the past. So you always have the woman looking for the past.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
maybe not.
It's kind of no. I don't know. We need to have more options. You can have these if you want. I have many decks.
Absolutely.
I have decks traditional, and I have decks that are not traditional. I think we need options, and we should have more and more people making more decks different with more options, or queer or not queer, but have different things. It's better.
I think the more that's out there, the better, and it's really great to have a variety of options, especially things that are non-binary and queer friendly. I think there's more and more of that within our community with tarot decks and with Lenormand and also Tarot de Marseille that's coming out more, which is really lovely to see as well. But I don't know, I've always been most comfortable in the space in between masculine and feminine. I've never really felt too attached either way when I really look at it. And so it's nice to have things that exist in that liminal space in between, right? And it just feels very open and expansive to me to have it, approach that way. That's really, really cool. So what kinds of questions do you ask on the Grand Tableau reading cloth? Like what kind of, I know you probably don't have it in front of you right now, but like what kinds of focus points, is there
No,
any that you can think of off the
but
top
for
of your head?
example, in the hider cards,
Yeah.
for example, I ask about the opportunities that coming to you now at the moment in your life,
Yeah.
and the card
Yeah.
going on top is
Yeah.
what's coming on life
Reflective
soon.
of that. Oh, I
For
love that
example,
so much.
this is make
Yeah.
your reading very easy, your
Yes.
life more easy, because
Absolutely.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's just the keywords, sometimes it's
Yeah.
make it vague just because the Lenormand have
Mhm.
so many keywords
Yes. There's
that make
lots.
the
There's
that makes
lots.
the person that reading sometimes a little bit confused.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I find Lenormand, in my experience, has been much more direct than tarot. It's a lot more kind of yes or no and, straight up answers. But sometimes when there's multiple keywords, it's also a good invitation to trust your intuition and see what's coming through for that particular reading, right? So it's an interesting mix of like direct but also intuition based because there are so many options in terms of keywords, right? Like when I reference Lenormand books, there's quite a lot that you can draw from. So it's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, oh that's so cool. That's amazing. And so is the texture of the Grand Tableau cloth similar to the tarot cloth? Did you go with a similar material for that as
Yeah,
well? Like, is it this stuffy?
it's
Yeah.
the same material, but it's
Yeah.
bigger. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it would be.
the Lenormand is bigger, the Grand
Yeah.
Tableau is bigger a little bit. It's like it's 5, I think it's 5 centimeters bigger
Oh,
from
okay.
all the
Yeah.
sides. Yeah,
Yeah. That
yeah,
makes sense because there'd be a lot more
yeah,
cards going down
yeah.
on it.
Because we put
Yeah.
it at 36 cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's
On
really
the
cool. What?
table. But yeah, but Lenormand is something that can give you so much information for you.
Yes.
It seems like
Yeah.
it's simple when you just reading with 2 or 3 cards.
Yeah.
But when you put it the Grand Tableau, you can see so many things of your
Yeah.
life. You can see so
Yeah.
many aspects of your life, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. I pulled some cards for a 9-card spread recently, and it was amazing what came through for that, right? Because you can look at it straight across, you can look at it up and down, on the diagonals. Like it was fascinating. The more I unpacked the cards that I had pulled, the richer the reading, right? Like there was so much that came out of it. It's 9 cards. It's simple, similar to a Celtic cross, right? But there's so much information that comes through when you look at the cards in different contexts, right? When they're all laid out. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Very, very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and I have a different way that people read the Grand Tableau. It's not just
Yeah.
one, for example. Some
Yeah.
people, for example, in this guide, I put in many ways that you can use it to start the
Yeah.
reading. My advice is you take a picture of your
Yeah.
spread and putting them again and study and go for another step
Yeah.
so you can go ahead
Yeah.
with your studies and learning more and more. It's not
Yeah.
easy task. It's the same, but 9 spread is really good to
Yeah.
reach
Yeah.
some aspects in the Grand Tableau.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've seen it set up as like a 9-card spread within the larger Grand Tableau, and it's really interesting to look at different parts of it and how they reflect each other and everything too. That's amazing that you've got that as an add-on in the campaign. That's really, really cool. And then I wanted to come back to some of the stretch goals as well, because there's some really amazing options, like a physical print of the guidebook, 4 bonus cards. I don't know if you feel like chatting about those, but that's an exciting prospect as well. The rigid box, gilded card back, and a High Priestess crown enamel pin. All of those things sound really, really lovely. Yeah, so the 4 extra cards, do you feel like chatting about them, or would you like to leave those as a
Yeah,
surprise?
the 4 extra cards is not going to be a constellation. It's a
Oh, cool.
surprise, but
Yeah,
it's really interesting. It's still in
yeah,
the sky.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it.
With the theme of the sky,
Yeah.
but it's not constellations.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, you've got so
complement.
many layers to the deck.
Yeah, it's complements the deck and make
Yeah.
extra reading.
Oh, oh, lovely. That's amazing. Very, very cool. So you have a collaborator with the deck, Sophia Aguiar. I'm sorry if I pronounced that improperly. Um, yeah, what was the process like of working with a collaborator on this deck? And like what elements are you focusing on and what elements is she focusing on? And like how does all of that come together for you?
Yeah, she's working more with writing.
Yeah.
And in helping me with making the videos. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
But we studied together. We
Yeah.
met the cards together. She's
Oh.
here if you want to talking to her.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sophia.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
If she's comfortable, I don't mean to put her on the spot, but
It's not easy,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
but interesting because you have someone to ask an opinion.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
Lovely to meet you. I noticed on the Kickstarter that you were the collaborator on the deck, so I was just asking what that process is like and what kind of areas you were both focusing on. And I find anytime I work with someone else, it adds a whole new layer to whatever it is that I'm working on because you're getting someone else's perspective, and sometimes that's in alignment, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're, navigating different things with that process. So yeah. So I was just wondering what that process was like, and yeah, what your favorite aspect of working on the deck was.
I think learning about the constellations, because a lot of people, I think, don't know really the stories. They look at the sky and they might say, "Oh, that's Orion," or "That's but they don't really know why it has that name or what the story is. So I think for me was learning about all the stories. And then how they all connect, some of them, the constellations they connect with one another. I think that was the most exciting thing. So learn about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's very, very cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Like even going out to the night sky, like we're somewhat limited in terms of what we can see from here. There's a big park right on the other side of our neighbors. And if it's a really dark night, we can often see some really beautiful stars. And my husband will go out with the kids and do some stargazing and look out for certain things, or if there's something that's more vibrant in the sky. And it's so fascinating. It's like I mentioned, we studied a lot of mythology over the years as I homeschool my kids, and it's so fascinating to see them reference something in the sky and then talk about a specific myth that we had talked about and how that relates, or just talking about different things related to mythology. Like it's quite amazing to make those associations. That's really, really cool.
And sometimes it's also interesting because some constellations you might only see them during the summer or during the winter, and also if you are in the north hemisphere or in the south hemisphere as well. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating to see what's available where and at what times of year, and based on lighting as well. Like when we were living in Halifax, you really couldn't see the sky very well, and we're in a smaller town now, so that much further away from massive light at night, right? So it's that's amazing. That's very, very cool.
And even when because initially it was just 48 constellations a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they only would see the constellations, I think, in the north hemisphere. They didn't have ways to go to the south. But then with the centuries passing, and then with the navigators, and then that's when they started seeing other constellations, and then that's when they put 88, which are the official.
Yeah, it's so interesting to look at the history of it too, and how things build in terms of information and access to reference points and everything else. That's amazing. That's very, very cool. Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm so excited to read the guidebook and to explore the deck. Like there's so many elements that you've included that to cross-reference, even from color to symbolism to keywords, and that's I think it's going to be a really amazing project for anyone coming to tarot, whether you're new to it or experienced, right? Because you've added so many layers to the deck, and I think that's really lovely. Yeah, that's so awesome. Oh, very cool. So, is there anything else that you would like folks to know about the deck or about the project or the writing or any other aspect that you'd like to share about it?
I don't know.
We covered quite a lot over the course of our chat, for sure. Yeah.
I'm so happy to do this project because I think it's something that I really want to see in our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, let's see what's happening in the Kickstarter campaign. It's something, sometimes it causes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kickstarter is a bit of a fickle beast, right? Sometimes things fund right away, sometimes it takes more time. It can depend on the time of year, it can depend on so many factors, right? But I think, yeah, creating something that you want to see in the world is so awesome because it's like bringing something to life that doesn't exist otherwise, and it's something that you can share with the community and that you're benefiting from as well, which is such a beautiful exchange of information and knowledge. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, I hope people enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Kickstarter is funding for a couple of months. So what's the final date for it?
It's, I think, 3rd of October.
Okay, yeah, right before Halloween.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
so,
I love it.
My plans is everybody receives this deck before Christmas.
Oh wow,
In
that's
December
amazing.
maximum.
Yeah,
I hope the post office help.
Yeah, well, I think everybody goes on full delivery around the holidays for sure. Yeah. And if it's a little bit delayed, then it's a nice New Year's surprise, right? So that works really well too. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me for the chat. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed chatting with you about all of the different aspects of this beautiful deck. So do you have a final card that you would like to leave everyone with that you particularly enjoyed working with? I know you've shared a couple of really beautiful cards, the High Priestess and the Queen of Pentacles, but I was wondering if there was another one that you wanted to share.
The Chameleon.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's
yeah,
the
that's beautiful.
Yeah, because it's adaptability. So you need to, the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, it's always needed to have this balance between the two coins. And the chameleon have the kind of a change of the color, adapted to the environment as well. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Very cool. Yeah. I watched
so many cards that I love it.
Yes, I know.
I love it.
Like,
this one more. It's the Pegasus, the creation.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love the rainbow cup. That's stunning.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous. Ace of Cups. What a beautiful representative for that. That's gorgeous. Yeah, well, I'm super excited to work with this deck. It's absolutely stunning, and I love all of the information that you've included.
All the things that I do, it's like I do with a lot of passion. Yeah. Try to make it something easy to everybody use it. Especially because I'm a person have some learning disabilities. So I'm really care about others. I found out very late in my life. So I learned how to survive with this disability. For me, it's not make much difference. But then when I found out, it make a lot of it makes sense in my mind. So everything that I do, I'm trying to do with a lot of love for people understand. It's very easy to everybody use the visual communication for people understand the cards and Yeah, I hope it's working because it's one of the things that I do in my life more. It's watching tarot readings and reading.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, coming at it from a way that makes sense for you in terms of learning, you know, that's going to be super helpful for other people as well. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you, as always. I enjoy working with Queer Lenormand so much, and I'm so excited about your upcoming deck. It's going to be so fun to work with, and it'll give me a whole new perspective on the constellations that I can then share with my kids. So that's going to be, it's going to be super exciting. So yeah, thank you so much for this and for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so
Take care.
yeah, take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.